hear ye, and welcome to the Royal Geek Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Rollison, also known as T-Roll. And tonight I'm joined by some very good friends of mine. First of all, we have Justin Sandoval, a.k.a. Sandy. And we also have a special guest to the pod. No Anthony Amato this week. Shamato's not here, taking a much-needed week off. So we called in the big guns for this episode review of the Acolyte. It's our Acolyte, Stephen Cummings, a.k.a. Steve-O. Steve-O, how we doing, baby?
We're doing awesome tonight. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. Glad you're back. You were here a few weeks ago when I missed out. You've been like MVP for us, man, in this
Acolyte series.
This Acolyte series. We really appreciate you being here, man.
I love it, man. I love being here. It's awesome to talk about some Star Wars.
So, Stephen, maybe I'm trying to think. Maybe the biggest. I wonder of all the people who have spoken on a podcast, if Stephen's the biggest Star Wars fan across the board.
Yeah, I think so.
Between all of our guests, between you and Shamato, definitely not me. I'm not in y'all's stratosphere.
No, yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
because you've read a lot of the books too, right, Stephen?
I have.
Yeah, like I was at Barnes and Noble today, and I got to Star Wars has its own wall, pretty much.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
tons of stuff.
Yes.
And I literally was thinking I bet Steven's read so many of these,
Yeah.
So glad to have you here, brother. And we're really thankful for all the listeners, everyone who's tuned in. We appreciate you guys so much. We want to remind you to subscribe to the podcast wherever you are listening, and leave us a review. That really helps us out. Leave a comment. If you're on YouTube, that also helps us out a lot. But probably the biggest thing you could do for us, if you really want to help out the boys of the Royal Geek Podcast, why not just share this podcast with one of your friends who likes Star Wars, all right? Whether you think this show is amazing or you think it's hot garbage, either way, we are here to discuss it, and we're really thankful for everyone tuning in to listen. So, just big shout-out to all of our listeners. We've got some big things coming up in the pipeline, so you don't want to miss out.
Yeah. I meant to tell you, T-Roll.
What's that?
Our boy Jeff from the MCU Bleeding Edge, he left us a nice 5-star review recently.
Woo!
I'll have to read that for you later. But
Okay.
Jeff, if you're listening, we really appreciate you, buddy. We love working with you.
Shout out, Jeff, man. Thanks, brother. That really is a blessing, man. That's awesome. Fire me up, Justin. Fire me up. Okay. Here we go. The Acolyte. I think we're on episode 6.
Yes.
It was called, I think I got this right, Teach/Corrupt. Okay.
Yeah, you did it. Congratulations. You get to stay the host for another week.
Okay, God, that's great. I guess spoiler warning. Let's just
Yeah, there you go.
I think it was last week where I totally forgot to say that. So, if you came here and you were expecting us to not jump into spoilers, I guess you're new to the pod.
Get out of here.
Yeah, spoiler warning. Here you go. What's with the title? Let's just talk about the title. What do you guys think? Why would they choose to title it Teach/Corrupt? I got some thoughts on this.
Well, what I've noticed is when they do the double title,
it's like a dichotomy over here.
Well, right, yeah, and it's kind of emphasizing what May and Osha are dealing with.
Yeah,
and it's got to be with Sol and Keimer and their interactions with the twins. Now they have different twins now that they've been switched, which I can't wait to hear.
The swap.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear what you and Sol and the twin swap, Parent Trap.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
that's what I think it is. It's like Keimer is to corrupt and Sol is to teach. That's what I think it is.
That's your stance?
That's my stance. Yeah.
I agree, but I will say in the episode, I feel like they went at it completely different than they were expected to go for it. For example, Keimer went more of like a good cop.
That is
Sol
true, actually.
went more as a bad cop.
That's wow. Pointing that out, I'm like, oh, damn.
Yeah. Between Sol and Keimer, one of those guys looks incredibly composed and not worried at all, and one of them is stressing hard.
Yeah.
Bro.
Oh, yeah.
Super emotional. Mm-hmm. Seeing Sol freak out,
frantic, right?
Seeing him slam hammer fist down on the table when he's resetting the transmitter or whatever.
Yeah.
Goes to the bottom of the ship. It's like that scene right there. I've never related more to a Star Wars character than that. If I lived in that world, that's how I would respond to a lot of things.
Yeah.
So finally seeing a Jedi do that, It's kind of nice,
Yeah,
you know.
they're not supposed to. Though.
It kind of reminds me of somebody.
Who's that?
There's a guy named Anakin I've seen before. He's just a little emotional at times.
Yeah.
So I wonder if the title is meant to make us have dialogue about which one of them is, because you
Yeah.
think.
I mean,
Soul's-
that's what I thought it was meant to. It was meant to lead the viewers to think.
But you think Kymer's the one that's corrupting, and
I mean,
Soul's the one that's teaching.
If you think about it, yes, as like us Star Wars universe, we're led to believe that the light is good and
Yeah.
the dark is bad. Which,
but that's
I'm a dark sympathizer, so I go ahead and I'm on that side. But I think the dark side has always been the corrupt side, like trying to change your view on moral code, and then the Jedi are always meant to, we're meant to believe that they teach moral code, that kind of thing.
yeah.
So I don't know, but I do like what Steven said here, where yes, it is true, they do come out looking very different. Like Kymer he's really teaching and sharing wisdom, and he makes a very good point early on. Like Osha's like kind of stalking him while he's getting into the bath,
Total creep mode.
into the water. But Kymer is like what do you feel? Like, what do you think? Like, he's like trying to get her to have actual like cognitive like function in her brain, and not just regurgitate what she's been programmed to by the Jedi. And he's
Right.
he's like, why don't you use your power? Like, it's not the dark side. It's just you having control over your power, that kind of thing.
And one thing I'll say about the episode is, I find it kind of interesting. The Jedi are known for no emotion, and Kymer is constantly preaching how you need to dig into your emotion to get into the dark side, essentially. And the whole time he's being calm, cool, collected.
Yeah.
And Soul's the one that's digging into his emotions more so in this episode.
Yeah, I know. Like Tyrell mentioned, like it reminds you of Anakin, and yeah, I mean, Soul is giving in to his fear because he doesn't know if Osha / May are gonna figure out what he did, because there's something going on
We
that he
still
doesn't
don't
want.
know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and enough to where he like turns off the transmitter and like flies off before they can get there. Like he's dealing with like the fear of being caught, of doing something, and
Regret.
and Kymer fully in control of his thoughts, emotions, and even I feel like what he's saying. What he's saying to Osha is very strategic, and it's very like he's trying to hit every single cue, and it's working on her, and it's kind of driving her towards him in a sense. So I don't know, man.
Yeah, dude. So, yeah, Soul is dealing with it because whatever they did, which I want to assume we're going to hear about it in this next
It's got to be this week.
scene.
Yeah.
Because it ends on that. Well, I guess it doesn't end. It ends on Osha putting the helmet on. But, yeah, I'm assuming we're going to get it in this next episode. But, in all fairness, I've said that like the last 3 weeks. So, yeah. But of the 4 Jedi that were on that planet that might have indirectly or directly caused a genocide, of those 4 Jedi, one of them was killed in a bar.
Yep.
One of them was meditating for 10 years, probably out of regret. And then one of them
Isolation, right?
went rogue and just stayed in the woods on some planet in the Outer Rim.
Yep.
So, and Soul, it feels like he's afraid of being found out. He even said in this episode, it's time for me to make things right, to go to the High Council or
High
something.
Council, yeah.
Yeah.
Fill them in on everything is what he said.
Yeah. Like, I'm over here screw the High Council. Why don't you just tell me? I just want to know at this point.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, are we led to believe that when he flees, like, is he going to the High Council? Like, are we led to believe that? Because it seemed like he was, I don't know, he was very frantic, and he might have been going somewhere else, like, to recuperate or gain his thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah, what was that about? So we're getting to the end of the episode.
Yeah, I
now.
know. Do we need to backtrack here? And
Yeah, I guess so. Let's backtrack a little bit. So the episode the episode starts with Osha waking up, and she don't know what's going on.
she's in a cave, right?
Yeah, in a cave. Find some clothes.
Yeah.
I mean,
And some water. I find it kind of curious. You're in a random cave. You already know Kymer's given May poison.
That's true.
And that's the first thing you do is grab a bottle of water.
Hey man, when you're thirsty, you're thirsty.
Yeah, and she the lightsaber too, right? Didn't she find it? Oh no,
Well, that was a
later
little
on,
later.
Later on, yeah.
A little later.
She walks out on the rocks and
Uh-huh.
she sees him walk towards the watering hole.
Yeah.
And then he gets in, just drops trow and just hops on in.
She just cold stared him too, and he was naked, bro, both times. She
Yeah.
never looked away.
No, she did not. And Keimer just went on in. She gets a lightsaber. Like when she goes to pick it up is when he acknowledges her.
Yeah.
Like, how does it feel? Or like, oh
Yeah.
man. He's like, did you miss it or whatever? And she's like holding that pose, like that's her stance. And he starts coaching her up right there. That's the moment where he was like, you got to lift your elbow up a little more. And
I know, that was cool.
Yeah. And then he comes back out of the water and he like is fully there for her to see. And he doesn't even flinch. He's just like, yeah, like, what's up?
Yeah. If you're not going to join me,
Yeah.
I'd like to put my clothes back on. Are you flirting with her right now?
Now, I do have a question. What did y'all think about the water, him walking up to the water? Did y'all feel like it was going to be more than him just going for a swim? I was kind of feeling like it was going to be like the Mandalorian, where he has to go to the water and get to be reborn, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, with him being a Sith, like it may be a ritualistic thing, kind of, but no, I didn't think that right away. I was just like, okay, he's just got done with killing and slaying all these people, maybe just trying to get clean, that kind of thing.
Well, it's a good question. Here's what I didn't think about that until you just asked it. But when I was watching the episode, I was like, I wonder what they have to say about this. When it pops up and it says unknown planet,
Yeah.
how often / has that ever happened in anything Star Wars? Because I feel like every time I watch Star Wars, whether it's live action or cartoon, they're just name dropping planets that I've never heard of because I don't.
They're all unknown to us.
Correct. It's all unknown to me. So the fact that it says unknown planet, is that meant that I, as a viewer, should know that I wouldn't know it because I wouldn't know any of them,
Right.
or that they don't even know, that Keimer doesn't even know?
I do have a theory about what the planet is or where it's from.
Here we go.
Speaking of, I spoke about me reading books. There's a book, Darth Plagueis. In that book, Darth Plagueis and his master, Tenebris, go to a planet. It's called Baldemic, I think. And they go there because they search for cortosis.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you noticed, in the cave, there's cortosis on the wall.
On the wall,
oh,
yeah.
That's right. And he mentioned cortosis to Osha when he was talking about his helmet.
And this is actually the planet where Plagueis actually kills Tenebris. So I think that might be where they're at. And I'm kind of curious as to maybe I'll get a little bit ahead, but where he says he was abandoned, that maybe Plagueis or Tenebris was the one that abandoned him.
Yeah, which we still, as of right now, like he does have a master because he speaks that he needs an acolyte, and the only reason you need an acolyte is because of the power of 2. He mentions the power of 2 this episode, and he needs the power of 2 in order to overcome the master. So it's not like the way that the Sith and the dark side works is like there is a master, and you find yourself an acolyte, right? And so if the only reason that he's trying to find an acolyte is to defeat the master, because you're not going to be an apprentice and just not be the master, that kind of thing, by yourself, right? Because you can just claim yourself to be the master.
Yeah.
But no. So yeah, it's.
So he directly said that he's got a master right now.
Well,
Currently?
he said he's got the power. He needs her for the power of 2, which he needs to overthrow a master. That's the whole point of an acolyte. Like, that's the acolyte's description.
Okay.
You're not tracking.
I'm not, because I've never heard this in the show. This is just like
a known Star Wars.
So, the beginning of the Sith, or not beginning, but when Darth Bane, which is the original rule of 2, which basically states that there always has to be a master and an apprentice. And the apprentice, the reason why they do that is to make sure that the power of the Sith, more powerful Sith, always takes the next step. So for them to be able to overthrow the master, they're going to get an acolyte or an apprentice, essentially, and overthrow their master to move forward the Sith.
And the acolyte is always a secret apprentice, because once the master catches wind that their apprentice has taken on another apprentice, they know that their power is being come for by the apprentice.
I see. Okay.
And we see, like, for example, in the prequel trilogy, we have but so the two are the Emperor, quote unquote, and Maul at that point in time, right? Am I correct, Steven?
Correct.
And then Maul dies, so obviously the Emperor needs to find another apprentice, which he leans heavily on Anakin, right? And then Anakin becomes Darth Vader, which is now the apprentice to.
Where does Count Dooku fall in all that?
So Dooku was Maul's replacement, essentially. And if you read some of the novelizations, the plan was always to replace Dooku with Anakin.
Yeah. Duke was like a placeholder, but he didn't know he was a placeholder. He thought he was going to be fully embraced as the apprentice. And he even started scheming to take Anakin to be his acolyte, but Anakin put an end to that real quick.
Do it.
Yeah. But
yeah.
But then Vader, I know it's not canon, but in Star Wars Unleashed games, Vader is trying to take on a secret apprentice in the video games to overthrow the Emperor. But that never came to light in the movies or canon or anything like that. But
Not yet, at least.
yeah, no, not yet. We'll see. They could fill in some gaps there. But yeah, so that was the whole throughout modern time.
Okay, so I'm supposed to know that. Not that it's been explicitly said in these first 6 episodes.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Now he did say he wants an acolyte. I think in the last episode.
He said he needs an acolyte.
He said he needs.
Not doesn't want. He needs.
You sure he said he needs?
I'm about 95.
Because I was pretty sure he said he wants. But
pretty sure he said he needs.
All right. Well, I guess
because he has that thirst for power right now.
Guess I'll trust you. Yeah, I guess like I didn't know. So even in this episode, what did he say in response to Osha when she asked, "What do you want?" Do you remember?
Did he say power?
I really can't.
I don't know. I don't remember. I thought he said power, but
yeah, I guess we're
the power of 2 is I want to say what he said.
Is that when he said that? Okay.
Actually, I think Steven's right on that one. Actually.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, it's been a rocky start to this podcast, mostly because of me, because I don't know all this stuff. Again, I feel like the outsider here in a lot of ways. But okay. And I guess for him, in his mind, he was training May. Man, I just don't get why why he chose to train her secretively.
Because if the master found out, he would kill Keimer and then just take up the acolyte as his apprentice. That's why it's done in secret. Because the master doesn't want anybody coming for his power.
Okay.
But the acolyte or the apprentice is meant to become the master eventually in order to drive the power of the Sith further to the next level up, which is why Vader is so freaking strong. Because he's literally a legacy of Sith becoming more powerful, more powerful, more powerful.
And Vader doesn't have all the power that he could have had because of his suit.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's correct.
Because he's like half a man.
Yeah, he's literally like barely a human.
He's like dying in there.
Yeah.
All right. I think I'm getting it now.
Okay.
Only took us 6 episodes to get there.
No, it's okay, man. It's okay. This is what it's like working with a general Star Wars fan and trying to incorporate them into the Star Wars fandom.
Yeah. Because, I mean, to be honest, it's not clear.
Right.
So, without you guys saying that, to me, it's just like a guy that looks like he wants to kill Jedi. Like, that's all I...
Right. There's purpose behind there. That's
purpose, what this show has been to me.
Yeah.
Which isn't bad. A lot of people have tried to kill Jedi.
Yeah, which Osha's like, oh, why should I listen to you? You literally killed all my friends. Like,
yeah.
And he's like, they would have been nothing more to you. Like, they would have been, the relationship that you guys would have had would be like one of them looking down on you.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Like when she's like, what about Jackie? Like
even
that kind
with
of
Jackie.
Thing. Yeah, even with Jackie. Yeah. Because she was a Padawan / Jedi, and you will be nothing more to them than a civilian, that kind of thing.
I do find it interesting when he was talking about why she left the order. How that she didn't just leave; they made her leave because they knew what she was.
Yeah, and it's funny because Kymer, she's like, how do you know that? And he's like, well, I used to be back in the day. And she's like, well, I was there. And he's like, you never heard of you? And he's like, well, it was a long time ago. Which makes me believe, like, how long ago was it actually? Like,
And which we know with Star Wars, I mean, just because someone looks young does not necessarily mean they are young.
yeah, but we like to think that the quote unquote like the humanoid, human looking are semi similar to age wise.
I mean, the way Obi-Wan aged, you'd think. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my god, yeah, it was rapid growth. Was what that one was. I don't know how that happened.
All right, let's talk about Kymer's backstory a little more. He shares that he was a Jedi, and he was literally abandoned. Okay. Convince me otherwise why his master isn't Venestra. Because to me, it seems written in the stars. Because she's all about cleaning things up, saving face. She discovers her Padawan has got some anger, fear, dark tendencies. So she tries to get rid of him. That's my theory. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Wow.
Are you saying that Vernestra's the
Master?
master as far as like the Dark Lord?
No, I'm saying she's the... No. Now, that would be crazy. I'm saying, because he said that he had a Jedi master.
Oh, that she abandoned him.
That a Jedi master
Okay.
abandoned him when he was a Padawan.
Interesting.
Well, he never states that it was a Jedi master that abandoned him. He just states that he was abandoned. But I do see where you're going, and there's a point that I agree with you that I think Venestra is involved, and the reason why I say that is her lightsaber, which we haven't gotten to yet,
Yeah, we haven't.
as well as the scars on his back.
Ooh.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. And Steven's making my point for me.
Oh my goodness.
He's making my point for me,
Wow.
bro. Dude,
That's it.
That's
Steven.
it, bro.
What the heck, dude? You just broke the code right there.
Dude, it just seems like
They're connected.
they're
Yeah.
connected. Yeah.
Which is why she's so adamant about going and to the planet. Like, how many times did the other Jedi's like say, "Hey, no, don't worry, we got this." No, I'm going, and we're gonna do this. We're gonna, and it just seemed like she was very pushy for when. I mean,
Yeah.
yes, she's had an attitude this entire series, but I feel like she would not be the one to get her hands dirty. Like, what if she showed up to the site and the person who killed all those Jedi were still there and it just like wiped her out? But no, she went. She was insistent on going.
I actually, you know what? Okay, hold on. I think we're onto something here because
I do too, actually. Yeah.
Because if it's true that she abandoned him, she knows that he's not dead. She knows that he's out there somewhere, and this
She
doesn't.
thinks she's dead.
What?
She thinks he's dead. Like, maybe.
Maybe, but I actually don't think so. I think she almost is under the belief that he's still alive,
Okay.
and then she almost wants to like. She needs to see it with her own eyes. So when she shows up and sees 7 dead Jedi, and that I was with a lightsaber, and she even talks to the other Jedi.
I didn't even get the name. So.
Mod,
Something like that. I
Something
thought it
with
was
an
super
M.
lame.
Super lame. Yeah, don't like that guy either. Bring Yord back. He's way cooler than that other dude, man.
Oh, man.
But anyways, bringing Yord back. # bring Yord back.
No.
Yes, just for Justin.
No, please don't.
But I think, dude, I think she wanted to go to see with her own eyes, because if it's true that someone could kill that many Jedi, I think in her mind she knows exactly who it is, and she has regret. And I think regret is what's driving her. All this facade we have seen this whole series from her. I think it's all regret for how she treated her Padawan, and she doesn't want anyone to know about it. And I think this is just like her going out there to see, and she'll probably try to frame Soul for it.
Ooh. Okay. Yeah.
To cover her tracks. But now I'm spiraling into crazy conspiracy theory now.
Yeah.
What I kind of think, and you're kind of onto something in my opinion, is that maybe she didn't know that she thought he was dead, and then now she's realizing he's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah, like because the Jedi that went with her was like, who could do this to all these Jedi? Like, they're so trained and like
Fights erratically.
Yes, fights erratically. Yep,
She would know exactly who.
exactly. Yeah, and so like they're kind of they're painting the picture for her in her head, and she's like, oh shoot, he is still alive,
Bro,
that kind of thing.
tell me, when you look at her, you listen to her talk, you see her demeanor, tell me she ain't the type who would abuse and abandon her Padawan.
Oh yeah. She's got that. Yeah, she's got that.
Especially if they're
capability.
not perfect, living up to
her standards.
her standards.
Yeah.
Bro.
Yep.
Yeah.
And she she busts out that lightsaber whip, man.
Yeah.
So
Indiana Jones over
yeah.
here, man.
So did you read the book series where that was introduced?
I did not.
Did not. Okay, but it was in the extended universe.
It's pretty wild.
They have. They call it a lightsaber whip, or they call it something else. I'm pretty sure it's like a lightsaber whip. I'm pretty sure.
I'm not sure. I
Use the word whip.
I'm pretty sure.
I doubt it.
But anyway, it's in a book series, the extended universe, that now it's officially canon. But it was introduced then, and it looks cool. I mean, it looks fantastic. But
I don't know how that works.
pink lightsaber, right? Was that pink?
I think more purple.
Purple,
Fuchsia.
fuchsia.
Kind of reminded me of Mace Windu's kind of.
Yeah,
Yeah,
look,
but a little lighter hue, I
I
thought.
first thought purple, maybe a little lighter, but I definitely thought purple right away.
Do I dare say magenta?
Fuchsia.
Yeah, but I mean, it looked cool. I thought it was. I can't wait to see it in actually more action. Like that was just too little for me.
Yeah. I'm curious on what more it can do. If it's just strictly a whip, or
It did look like it straightened out before it retracted. But so I mean, I don't know. We'll
Okay,
see.
time out. If it's a whip, and if those scars that he's got were from a whip, which they definitely look like they were.
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
But wouldn't you think that a lightsaber whip wouldn't leave a scar? It would more just like cut your whole body,
Unless she's doing it just the tip of it, like
kind of like the Romans did Jesus, like just leave him
there
an
you
inch
go.
away from death.
There you go.
Huh?
And I will say, I mean, in movies that in past, as far as Star Wars with lightsaber duels, even in the TV series, as far as it goes, they've kind of downplayed on how strong a lightsaber can be
Yeah.
to an extent. Now they have brought that back kind of back this time around, this episode or this series, but they have downplayed it to where people are surviving a whole lot more. Darth Maul getting cut in half.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
There's multiple other ones of people getting stabbed with lightsabers and still surviving.
In the Ahsoka series, we had Sabine get impaled with a lightsaber and survive. So
Yeah,
it's
Forgot
happening.
about that.
It's happening.
yeah. Somebody call Qui-Gon. See how he feels.
Oh
about
no! Poor
Um,
Qui-Gon.
that. That's okay. Dude, I'm convinced.
Yeah.
Venestra, it was his master, bro.
Yeah,
For sure. She created the thing that's ultimately going to destroy her legacy.
But
and
okay,
everything.
so you're saying that like she was the Jedi Master who abandoned him, but she's not his current master, is what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay.
I don't believe she's Sith.
Okay, all right.
I think it's even worse.
Okay.
She's a politician. I think she's
Yeah.
got a facade. She's trying to save face, and he didn't measure up to her standards, so she literally abandoned him.
Yeah.
Which, speaking of politics, what did you think of the introduction of like the Senate and talking to Vernistra?
Yeah, I mean, when I first watched the scene, I was just kind of like, oh, okay, now here's the establishment of the massive politics that we got from the prequel trilogy, but luckily we didn't linger there too long because I felt like those scenes in the prequel trilogy kind of like they went on way too long, that kind of thing. Like they made an emphasis to establish the galaxy as this like republic and that kind of thing. But yeah, I was like, oh here we go. But it does kind of paint the picture of who she is as a character. Now I see why she's so like played by the book, got to be recognized, like that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean it was all right.
I saw that, and I kind of saw it as the kind of the beginning of the downfall of the Jedi, essentially, because that's to me is part of what caused the downfall was them being too political correct.
They had to align themselves with certain parties, or else they would not have been in existence anymore. Apparently, which they're supposed to be the most powerful warriors of our time in that era, and they're being bossed around by politicians. So I don't know. It just sometimes that whole like doesn't make sense. But I guess that's because the Jedi don't abuse their power, and so they stick to the guidelines and the rule books that they've created and boxed themselves in, that kind of thing. Which is what Keimer's literally teaching Osha as we go on throughout this episode is like, don't box yourself in. You're creating these false cages for yourself that you cannot leave because of a code that abandoned you, like that kind of thing. Like, it's wild.
Right. Okay. Sorry, I'm just stuck in my head right here. One of you guys may need to take over.
I can tell you the gears are working.
Well,
over there.
because I'm just like so convinced that, because like, it just seems like something that would happen in a show, where it's like kind of convenient. Like, oh, the person that caused the villain trauma is actually the person who was right under our nose the whole time. You know, like
right.
And like even when Vanestra, it's like in my mind she's going out there to see with her own eyes. Now she's like, it's confirmed in her mind.
Yeah.
But I feel like she's the type to try to sweep it under the rug still.
Oh, for sure.
That's the sense I got with like the way she was asking her that Yord replacement, mod, whatever his name is.
Right.
When she's asking him like, "What do you see here?" and he described the scene. He even said, like, "Could this be Soul?" And she's like, "That's a, big accusation."
Yes.
But it's almost like she wants someone else to say it, and now she has to report it. But it wasn't her. It wasn't her that made that accusation.
No,
it was
the
she just seems slimy, bro. I'm telling you.
That's a good point. That's a great point, actually.
And in a way, I feel like it's setting up, because ultimately we all know, none of the High Council, so we know, isn't going to know about what's going on, because
Theoretically,
Unless they
retcon it, but because in the prequel trilogy, Mundi says there hasn't been a Sith for over a millennia. So they obviously don't get word to the High Council. Like, Soul says he's going to tell High Council, but obviously it does not happen.
and to me, this is setting up the ultimate downfall of Soul, him end up dying or something happening to him.
But if we did get High Council and there is something that happens in there, then I don't know. It's just a bad writing or bad continuity. But it would give us, if they make it to the High Council, it would give us a chance to see Master Yoda again, which fans would love, a little morsel of the original trilogy. So
Okay, thank you for saying that, because a couple episodes I was like, wait a minute, Yoda's like 900 years old when he dies, right?
Yeah, around
Yes.
there.
We're led to believe he's been a Jedi for kind of like a long time.
He's so wise, yeah.
Okay,
Why
and
not,
this
right?
is only 100 years before
the prequel trilogy.
Okay, yeah. Where the heck
He's in the High
is
Council.
Yoda?
He's a High Council sitting up there somewhere.
We're gonna get Yoda, bro.
I don't know. It depends if
Soul's not gonna make it.
he doesn't make it.
I think. Yeah.
Well, okay, let's talk about May and Soul real quick. Like,
Okay.
do we think Soul's like really going to make it there? But May, it happened, Tyrell. You said last week, there's no way this Jedi is not going to sense that May is Osha, like
Yes.
that, or Osha's May, like that kind of
Right,
thing.
right.
And he was blinded. He was blinded by
All of his right?
grief, all of his regret, and like the first scene where he's like kind of just like staring at the panel, and she's like coming up with this like a dagger behind him.
Yeah.
And then like he says something to her, like take over or whatever. And like I was like, oh, he doesn't know. Like he doesn't like. T-Roll's gonna be so mad. I can't wait to hear what he has to say about
Yeah,
this.
well, I mean, it is infuriating. I think something that helps a little bit is seeing the lengths that they put on screen of him. He's clearly
Which
not.
is what
in
I
his,
said last week.
Clearly not in his right mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, but again, something that would help me is if we just knew what happened. You know.
Yeah, we should have started seeing pieces of that by now.
And I will say one thing that's kind of driving me nuts. It seems like every single time Soul's about to tell either May
Yes.
or Osha, and something happens to where he can't.
Yes.
So I'm gonna put my little Shimado hat on. So if Shimado is listening,
Gonna rewrite something.
I'm gonna rewrite something here.
Okay.
I think a better story could have been told if we have the four Jedi that are the problem, right? That are the whole catalyst of what's going on here, right?
Right.
I feel like every time May killed or took out a Jedi, that same episode we would get a flashback to what that Jedi contributed to
On that day.
to that story, to the on that day on the planet, right? and then we would get a piece, right? And then when she moves on to the next one, so like Indara, right? She kills Indara in the bar. We get a flashback to what Indara contributed to that day.
Thank you. That'd
And
be
then
sick.
we go on.
It's
The
like
next one.
like movie Vantage Point.
Yeah, there you go,
Yes,
dude. Just like
yes.
that.
Yeah.
And Torben's floating there in the thing when she's literally there talking to him, like, you know what you did, that kind of thing. Like right before he opens his eyes, it should be a flashback to that moment and what he contributed to that scene. And then he takes the poison and he dies. And then the next
Yes.
day with Kelnaka, the same exact thing, all leading up to Soul and this mental breakdown that he's having right now. Here would be the perfect scene to finally like reveal everybody's true intentions on that day, that day that they recruited him. And then boom, we're going in the penultimate episode and having a clear picture of the end game of what the twins' life and how different it could have been if the Jedi didn't mingle and interrupt what was going to happen.
Yes.
So, boom.
I like
Shamato, you're not the only one, buddy. I got you.
Well done. Well done. Yeah, I think that'd be great. I'm wanting that. So, so I think back to Soul. What is it that gets him to snap out of it and realize it's May?
Dang it, man. I don't know. I just went blank.
They really don't. They lead kind of that you have. What is it? A beaver?
Oh, yeah. Basil.
Basil, my dog Basil, boy.
He's right there behind him, so he could have let her know, but
He was acting all strange when Soul found out. So he's like, Soul's like, okay, something's going on. But it was Pip. Pip was because remember she reset him to factory settings, which I was like, R.I.P. Pip, man. And then he was like questioning her about like oh, it's you, like the way you treated her, Pip, like he was actually like living. And then he like kind of noticed that Pip was different.
It could be that for sure.
and I didn't even notice that until you just said that. That makes a lot of sense because right after that is whenever he ends up not tasing her, but using the
stun gun,
stun gun on her.
It is kind of sad that like Pip's been factory reset. I hope that like OSHA has some
Saved backup.
safe backup. Yeah, because Pip's a real one, man.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. Personality, like when Pip literally blows liquid into May's face in the episode, which causing the factory reset.
Yeah,
It's fantastic.
But it could be Basil because right when he shoots the tase gun, Basil's like right behind him. So you could, but like, does he speak? I thought Yord was the only one that could hear. That could.
I'm sure older Jedi Masters have more like linguistic.
Oh, sure,
skills.
yeah.
Like,
Just another thing that the Jedi know how to do without any explanation.
they can speak Droid. They can speak Wookiee. They can speak like there's a whole plethora of
Can
languages.
they speak Basil?
Was it Tenon or Tenon?
Tyran?
Tyran?
Something like that?
I don't know.
I don't know, dude. But yeah, yeah, it is interesting that they went that route. That Soul didn't know.
Yeah.
But clearly
But they did a good job painting a picture that
Yeah, I mean,
he's got a lot.
he was
on his
wigging
plate.
out.
Yeah,
He's wigging out.
a
for
lot
sure.
on his plate for sure.
Yeah.
And I will say, because for me, I enjoyed more the Chimere and OSHA part of the storyline, more so than I did the Soul and May storyline. I felt like May didn't get progressed at all.
No,
And
you're
I
right.
feel like OSHA's character development got pushed not quite a bit forward, but it did get pushed forward. But the one thing I will say is Soul really did, again, star on that side of that storyline.
Yeah, no. I think here we go again, Shamato style. I do think it would have been more compelling if we Keimer and OSHA, fantastic. I love the way that played out where Keimer was like literally teaching her and she was coming along and by the end of it she was like kind of so curious to where she dabbled, right?
Right.
Whereas Soul, on the other hand, like he was too busy freaking out to where he didn't get a chance to like reach May. Because last week I was talking about like May starts to see a different side of Soul, and she comes into realization that maybe she was wrong, that kind of thing.
Which maybe we'll get. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
If I'm May, I'm thinking, hold on, do you want to talk to me while I'm chained up right now? Like, it's a very vulnerable place to be.
And even that hug, the hug he gives her, and she's like stiff as a board, right?
Yeah.
And the look on her face, like you didn't even get she was like a sigh of relief that like, okay, it was more of like this is strange.
Yes.
Like I thought Jedis don't lead with their emotions like this. Like it was more of like a questioning what's going on. Like, but he was like doing something very non-Jedi. Like I don't know, a Jedi hugging like that's giving into your emotions, right? Like
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree.
yeah. like Soul is right at this point in time is playing the card of like I have no control, but his performance is still really good. So I'm gonna let that slide. But as of right now, he is not looking like a Jedi to me, and Keimer is looking more like the Jedi to me because he is composed and never loses his cool, not one time in his whole interaction on the planet with May. Like he is 100% committed to the cause, Osha, sorry. He's 100% committed to the cause of getting Osha on his side so that he can have, quote unquote, the power of two.
Dude, he takes that lightsaber and just like, he's like, go ahead.
Yeah.
Turn it on, you know?
And he walks up. He walks up to it, right? It's
like the
right
Joker with Harvey Dent. He like, gives him the gun. You know, it's like he's like, go ahead. Yeah, I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Now, do you think that he does that because he doesn't fear OSHA and doesn't feel like she'll do anything with it, or does he do it to test her to see where she's at?
I think a little both. I think he's smart enough to know that she's not going to do it, but also giving her the chance that if she actually does it, then
it's a big risk.
It's a huge risk. But if she actually does it, then that means that she kind of gave in and he won, right? Like,
which she does give into her emotions and ignites the lightsaber and doesn't attack him,
That's
but
true.
does push him and gives into her emotions.
Which is also considered a win if you're on the dark side. Yeah.
Yes.
Because that's the whole point of what he's trying to do. He's trying to get her to feed into those
and
emotions.
the helmet.
Yeah.
The episode ends with her,
Well,
he says, well, you want to try it on? She's like, no, I can't trust you.
What is it? He's like, oh, it's sensory. Like everything in there allows him to be more in touch with the Force. And the big line, and we missed this in the beginning. Like the big line where Osha's like, that's Soul's power. It's like, no, that's your power of the Force. And then she comes back later and questions like, what did you mean?
Yeah, that's right.
Like, and he said the Jedi teach you that the wrong way of using the Force. And he said the Force is everyone's to control, not just the master, like the one who's been
not
more
just
trained.
one way.
Yeah. He said, so the Force is for everyone to pull from. And that right there has her intrigued so much so to where at the end when she's looking at the helmet and like, she's like, I'm going to try it on because I want to be more in tune with this power, quote unquote, that I apparently have a reach for. And just like as soon as she puts it on, the heavy breathing, I'm like, oh boy, here we go.
Yeah, dude.
Like we got some little Vaderisms, and I love the fact that it's just like pitch black and we just see the slits, just the small, tiny slits, and the fact it makes me appreciate Keimer even more because he destroyed all those Jedi with just
freaky
those
helmet, dude.
Little tiny little slits, man.
You don't need to see when you got that on, man. The Force does the work.
The Force does the work for you. But it's a freaky helmet.
Put the Slipknot mask on, dude.
Yeah, honestly,
It's
you're right.
freaky
Actually,
for sure.
it is. But that's the way the episode ends, and I'm all here for it, man. I'm all here for her. I want a good change of sides. Like we have not really gotten. I mean, yes, Anakin is the best of that, but he really was always like on the middle towards dark. I don't feel like he was only when he was a child. He was like leaning towards good, but even then he was making stupid decisions. Like when he was a child. So I want to see somebody who thought they were fully good, Padawan, that kind of thing, make the full switch over to the dark side. Like that's a compelling story.
Yeah.
So
You think we're gonna get the full swap?
I think so. With the title of this being the Acolyte, I think we're going to get the 100% full swap of
full
her
swap
being-
would include May being good.
Ooh, I think May's going to die, which is going to lead
Ooh.
Osha to
Kind of like Padme dying.
Yeah, that's the trigger. Yeah, that's what it's going to be. I don't know.
And she blames Soul and the Jedi. She blames Venestra. Dude, it's Venestra, bro. I'm telling you.
Well, when the episode you weren't here, my prediction for who was under the helmet was Vernestra. So, I'm with you, man. I think she's bad news for sure.
Something there, dude.
There definitely is something there for sure.
Yeah, Stevie broke it wide open with the scars on the back, man. And that,
Yeah,
lightsaber whip.
absolutely.
That's
Like-
it. Like that's 100% happening, and you heard it here first on the World Geek Podcast. We only bring the best guests
So
on.
just remember, that's right.
Yeah.
Just remember that when you're like, man, I listened to 12 podcasts on this show. Which one of them said that Venestra was Keimer's master? Yeah, the Royal Geek Podcast.
Yeah, there you go. Steve-O with the win. But yeah, no, and then like Soul ends up like blasting off and ditching everybody and frantic with May and cuffs.
Yeah, and even that, it's like,
So I don't know what's going to happen on that story.
even that, like, why exactly? Because, like,
he cuts the transmission off.
But why? He's the one who started the transmission.
Correct.
Where do y'all think they're going?
It's got to be back to that planet. That's got to Bandok or Benkook or whatever.
Oh,
the heck
you
it
think
is.
so?
Yeah, that's where.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Okay, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe they'd go look for Chimere.
You think so?
Maybe go
Well,
to
actually,
the
he
unknown
said
planet.
that we have to find your
Oh yeah.
your old master because we have to find Osha.
Yes.
And that because May has been to that island or that planet.
Yeah.
Because in the very
Oh, you-
first second episode.
Yeah, she's there on the rocks.
You talking about unknown planet?
Yeah,
Yes.
unknown planet.
I hear it's
that's-
a great destination.
So
Dude, how about those little animals that were?
Oh yeah, the little porg wannabes.
They showed them like 5 times. They really want us to care about them.
That Star Wars makes an emphasis on putting creatures on screen to sell toys. So.
I kind of felt like they looked like the Ice Age dodo birds.
Oh yeah,
Little bit.
there you go.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's like a little family, dude.
Yeah.
Like a little one. I think something bad's happening to one of them.
They're gonna be insignificant, I promise. Yeah.
There's
I
no
don't know,
Chewbacca to eat one of them.
Oh,
That was the worst.
gosh, dude.
They're sitting there on his shoulder while he's eating
Fall
one.
in love with one.
So bad.
Yeah.
I love it though. Can't go wrong with Chewie.
Okay, one last weird question. Okay. I know that Chimere's like trying to get an acolyte. And it could just be that he's so calm and cool and suave. But like did y'all pick up on any like vibes between them? Like some romance? Like they were getting like intimate at times, you know? Like
I don't think it's gonna be. I don't think it's romantic at all. I think I think the intimacy is with how deep of a connection the Force has
with them.
with them.
Okay.
And
Which
I feel
is
like
fair.
I feel like it's more of like their fates are intertwined kind of
Yeah.
thing. That's what I think. It's like he has realized, oh, this is the correct twin I should have been training, and so therefore his commitment to her and getting her to realize the dark side is why it feels so intimate because he is so invested in.
I mean, I don't think they're going that route. Don't get me wrong; she could be bisexual, okay? But they were clearly showing that she had some affection for Jackie.
That's
okay?
true. This is true.
So I don't think they're going that route. But it just felt like it. You know, could be the nature of their interaction on that island. Is everything was intense because at any moment she might be thinking he's going to kill me.
Right.
But it just felt for me there were some vibes of like, man, they're getting kind of like close here, you know.
And the one thing I'll say as far as that kind of goes, I would say it kind of was like seduction with the water scene. Kind of. I could kind of see
Yeah.
that being the point. But I think it was more so to let her guard down. But I don't think it's more so to be intimate or nothing like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not saying that it is. It was just like something I caught. And I was like,
Yeah.
I'll see what the guys think.
Which
but
I mean, technically, we've only ever had one romance in the entire Star Wars storyline that's canon currently. Like,
Correct.
And that's it. So
Yeah.
I mean, I think we might be overdue. Which I mean, technically, what Rey and Ben at the end, but like that was barely. That was more like a heat of the moment kind of thing, right?
You also got Finn and Rose.
oh, okay,
Yeah,
Steve.
no. But listen,
No, no. You're done, man.
No, but hold on.
You're not coming
I'm
back.
talking about like romance. I'm not like for example, like Padme. And
We're not
Anakin.
talking about one night at a casino.
Yes, thank you. We're not talking about. Yes, there you go. One night at a casino, one night in a Jedi like cavern or with the planet where the Palpatine was. We're talking about like a full on like courtship kind of thing that Anakin and Padme did,
Right,
and then
of course.
secret, that kind of thing. We haven't seen that, so
Yeah.
But are we long overdue? Yeah, for sure, absolutely.
Again, I'm not saying it for sure is going to happen, but there's just a couple moments. But again, if I'm Osha, I'm not going to take my eyes off of him because of fear that he could kill me at any moment.
yeah,
So it might not be that there was some sparks flying. It could just be that like she's like hyper aware in the moment, and it can be misconstrued.
but I kind of think that he put to bed like any like worries of him killing her when like he was always so open and communicated with her, and he did not shy away from telling her the truth of everything, and here stab me, that kind of thing. So I don't know. I think he did a good job of kind of like easing her off of that.
I do too.
That cliff. So
And as far as for me, I feel like the entire point of their storyline on their side was to talk about emotion, and that could have a lot to do with what you're saying as far as the chemistry between them, because that's essentially what they're talking about is the emotions.
yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay. Well, we'll come back and check on that. Again, I'm way more confident in the other theory
Yeah.
of Venestra,
Yeah.
but I was just curious. So.
Yeah. No,
okay.
of course. So,
Any other thoughts on this episode, boys?
all right. So, I mean, I feel like we were all like very upbeat and positive for the most part. Like, we didn't really say this sucked, this was garbage, that kind of thing. But I will say this.
Did it suck, Justin?
I thought this episode was like mid to okay. Like,
Okay.
I believe that this episode and next episode, if you watch them back to back, it will tell a much better story. Because I just kind of feel like this episode just gave you enough to kind of get the direction that they're going, but I think the story is not. It wasn't necessarily like a complete story for this episode, and I think next week's episode it'll pair better like with a back-to-back rewatch. I think, but
You just described every show,
every show.
so that's
Well,
fine.
no, there's shows out there. Like, for example, like the best shows out there, right? Breaking Bad. You watch one episode and you're like, boom, I got it. This is like a full story in this episode with a morsel for the next episode, that kind of thing.
Sure.
Right?
Okay.
Like good
Yeah.
shows. Even in The Mandalorian will give you a standalone episode that you're like, that is a banging episode.
Side mission.
Incredible. Yeah, side mission. But it was a good side mission that gave you a morsel for what's next. That kind of thing, right? That's what good storytelling will do. You can watch one episode and get all different varieties of emotion and intrigue and desire, right?
that's
With a tidbit for more, right? These shows they feel incomplete. These episodes, they feel incomplete. They feel like that it could have been maybe a 2-hour movie. I don't know, tell the story all in one go. Like, I would be interested to see if we would be thinking differently of this series if we got to watch it all as one go.
That's what I'm saying. Like, how many times have I said that about Disney Plus shows? Normally on the Marvel side. But
Yeah.
Like, it's just. I feel that way.
like Star Wars has been such hits, minus like 1.5 shows. Like,
Yeah. No, they've done better for sure.
yeah.
They've done a lot better. But
so yeah, I don't know. I'm looking forward to.
I think
potential
overall,
Mm-hmm.
the people who just think it's the worst show ever,
Mm-hmm.
like, haven't seen She-Hulk. Or Secret Invasion. Or Inhumans.
Ooh, that's
Okay.
a long haul
Deep
back there.
cut,
yeah,
right?
that's, wow.
Like, the people who are like really hating on this,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, look,
Eternals.
is it great? Yeah. Is it great? No. Is it Andor? Give me a break. Of course not. Is it even Obi-Wan? Nah. Is it even Book of Boba Fett?
Maybe we'll see.
Maybe. So now we just found its level. Mm-hmm. It's like, that's still better than no content.
That's true. Yeah.
So it's like, get off your high horse, put your seatbelt on, and you try to tell me who Venestra really is, okay?
I don't know if you remember exactly what you said, Steven, but I liked it earlier off the pod about the Star Wars fandom. I don't know if you want to I don't know if you remember what you said about the wanting different, but
We always want different, but when we get different, we're not happy with it.
yeah, Star Wars fandom in a nutshell, right there.
You can't open up that can of worms at the end of the pod, Justin. I've got strong feelings about the Star Wars community.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it speaks to everything. You want something Star Warsy but different, but then when you get the different, it's just like
Yeah, the Last Jedi was different,
your mind.
right?
Yeah, Last Jedi was different, and
So why don't we like it?
I kind of liked it. I kind of.
You just
liked
lost.
it.
We just lost so many listeners because you said
Yeah,
that.
I said kind of.
Shame on you.
I did like some of it.
There's parts of it that I like, but
Yeah.
I mean, the whole casino scene could be thrown out.
Yeah.
Side
Pointless.
mission.
In the middle of a battle. No.
No, but for real, like the show, it's not great. The Acolyte, it's not terrible. There's much worse.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm just trying to be a little optimistic. Again, I think I've been helped out by the fact that I said this the first episode I got on. I think it was like episode 3. Like I had so low expectations coming into this show
Right, yeah.
that it's helped me out.
Yeah.
So
You've asked this question, I think, now 2 times, T-roll, but it's like characters you're intrigued
You're in
by.
on, yeah.
And I've kept them 1.5,
okay,
right?
so who's your one? Yeah, go.
It's, I mean, Soul, was the one, and then for me the half was Jackie, but then I think
And then she got cut in half.
she got cut in half, literally.
Stabbed a few times, yeah.
But I think after this, you said last week, Keimer. You said
sure.
why isn't Keimer in my list?
Absolutely, why not?
But after this episode, the way that he approached this episode of like being the level-headed one, being the one to bestow Osha with knowledge of the Force that she had never seen before, I'm now fully intrigued on this guy. And so now Soul and Keimer, I think, are my guys. And if anything comes from this series, we get two characters that I think are really well done, I think. Especially Soul with his Qui-Gon imitation. I love it, man. I love the way he speaks and the way he, like, I don't know. I like it. I personally like it.
What I'll say, I agree. The two, I have half. I'm intrigued with Osha now, just based off this episode. You know, putting
That's
the
fair.
helmet on.
Yeah.
Seeing
There's
where
more to
she-
her character for sure.
Correct.
Yeah.
There's a lot more character development with her for sure. For me, this episode, coming off last episode, I felt like it was a solid episode because last episode was full of action. You know, I feel like there's some character development in here. Like I said, I could have done without pretty much the entire storyline with Soul and Osha or May essentially. Besides Soul's part, I mean, but for the most part, it was an okay episode. Wasn't fantastic, but it was a solid to okay episode.
Yeah, I think last week's was just so high that this week had no choice but to be like a step down or mid, or it wasn't bad though. It was
It's like a full episode of nothing but action to dialogue.
Yeah.
You know, like hardly any action.
Yeah, but I think Keimer gave us just enough as far as performance goes to carry the episode to a little notch above average.
So we're in on Keimer.
Yes.
We're in on Soul.
Yes.
We're half in on Osha.
I can agree with that. I'm just not as willing to put my seal on that.
Okay.
So,
We're out on May.
I'm out on May. Yeah.
We're out on Venestra.
I've never been in on Venestra.
We're definitely out of the new Yord.
the new Yord. I'm fully
Dude,
out on
Yord looks like a rock star compared to that guy. Both physically and just the vibes.
Listen, Yord, I cannot stand him, but I also
Bring
can't stand
Yord
this guy.
back,
No,
bro.
no, do not.
And
bring Yord back.
but we are.
I love
in-
seeing his like broken body on the floor.
We are.
It was fantastic.
We are in on Pip
Oh, of course, yeah, we're in on Pip.
and Basil.
Ooh, how about Jackie's body, dude? When they showed Jackie's body with like
Dude,
the
just
flies on her
cold.
head.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It's wicked.
Love it.
Okay, I think it's time to wrap it up,
Yep,
boys.
let's do it.
It's been a great review. If you're still listening, sorry that we kind of got off track several times, and basically when we had this idea about Venestra, it just kind of threw me off. From like, what were we talking about?
Yeah,
So
the Venestra and the Acolyte conversation.
and the Acolyte conversation, right? Yeah, the namesake of the show. Okay, big shout out to everybody who tuned in. Thank you so much. Please come back next week for our review on episode 7, which will be the penultimate episode of the Acolyte. It's going to be good. Follow us on social media at Royal Geek Pod. Subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen. Leave us a review. Share the pod with your friends. All of those things help us out a lot. We really appreciate you. And be sure to come back next week. With all that in mind, for my good friends Sandy and Steve-O, this is T-Roll saying thank you so much for listening to the Royal Geek Podcast. We will see you next time, you peasants.